we offer you a 40-minute fast conversation. Stay aware, stay awake, keep your eyes peeled. Patrick from We Live on a Planet is joining the show today to talk about podcasting with me. Woo! Hello, everybody. Hi. Welcome to the show today. I am Maria, and I am so excited. I have Patrick here from We Live on a Planet with me right now. Wow, I am so thrilled to be able to talk to you.
It's awesome to be here. Thank you for having me, Maria.
Whether you guys are listening to our voices or watching the video right now, I want to welcome you no matter what platform you happen to be on. We are bouncing around on the energy of technology right now. And it's so amazing because Patrick and I met through podcasting. And we're going to talk about podcasting and how we make the magic happen. But I thought I would start our conversation, first of all, Patrick, with why. Why do you share your voice out here in the world?
It really evolved since my first podcast, but now it's a personal journal for me. It's something that I can archive and leave to my great-grandchildren that will be able to hear just a little snippet of what was going on in my life at that time. And so I use it for an outlet for therapy because it's a talk therapy. I use it for a way to get my thought process out there, to practice my thought process, but also just a way to be creative and to leave some kind of mark besides just a name.
Yes.
You know, and it's been enjoyable, and it's been a journey, and it's been changing and evolving through. I have 430 episodes out.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Now, Patrick, how did that happen? Let me get into the podcasting nitty gritty a tiny bit, and we'll get into it more in a minute. Because when we were podcasting together, we both started about 3 years ago in October, right? We're almost on our 3-year anniversary. It's fantastic. But I thought you had more episodes than that at one time. Did you take some down?
No, I didn't take any. No, I would have had more episodes, but my accident happened in March of 2019. And when that happened, I took at least 6 or 7 month hiatus from podcasting.
Right.
So that really took a lot of my episodes out because I'm Monday and Fridays. At one time I was 7 days a week.
Well, I was going to say, when we first started on Anchor, the whole push was to have podcasters publish several times in one day even. Remember that wheel thing? Kind of like lives on Instagram. The more you go live, the more people will notice you. So that was how they were training us.
Yeah.
It's like the whole mentality was different because I've done the same thing. I was doing every day, sometimes a couple of times a day because we weren't able to connect the audio together in one episode. It wasn't as structured. So it was definitely more of a ramble or a vent or now I'm into I'm here or whatever, it felt live actually.
Yeah.
It was more like radio.
Yeah, correctly. I agree with that. Anchor has changed immensely. It started out where, yes, it's a podcast, but that's not what I thought I was doing. I thought I was making a radio station.
Yes.
And I had that feeling of stations. And there was that, which you remember, that community where you really had that feedback right away and you knew who was listening and they could type in and you could see the comments. And so Anchor was a whole different platform. And now it's really strictly is what it is. It is strictly for podcasting.
Yes.
You know?
And that makes it even more powerful because it's evergreen now, where anyone can go at any time and listen. So what I've done is I've cleaned up my show a lot, not in the sense of explicit language, but in the sense of I had too much content. And I still kind of now I'm producing a show just once a week on Wednesdays. And
Right.
I'm testing still the idea of seasons, because then it has a structured theme to it. Like I season 4, my concentration was on meditation, the meditation that I teach. Season 5, I'm calling it Bearing It All. So I changed the cover art to be my bare feet on a lake, but I'm talking about more raw, funny. I thought it would be more funny, like bearing it all. I'm going to be giggly and funny, which
Right.
is different than the prior season. But I'm always trying to remind listeners and anybody out there, it's all me. It's all different facets of the same person. And that is my purpose in being out here at all, to show my ranges so other people are more comfortable showing their own and exploring where they can go and not
Right.
locking into a certain way of being. You don't have to be just, that librarian or just that rock star that's on fire all the time, or that comedian. You can go hide in a corner and be by yourself. You
Right.
don't have to be entertaining all of the time.
Absolutely.
And all of that, or you don't have to be quiet all of the time. It's okay if you're the one standing on the table with a mic. It's okay.
Right.
I just think it's so amazing. It's a great platform.
I think it is. It's a great way to really to get ideas out there. It's been to me also, it's given me the ability to meet people, not to sound corny, but to meet you. I really did. I've been able to connect with people that I never would have connected. And also, since we live on a planet, and I'm sure your show has reached throughout different countries, I have people that are listening in the kingdom of Bahrain, which I never even realized would listen to a show of a guy living in upstate New York, living in, a tiny little sleepy city.
Yes.
And so it's amazing that your voice can really go out to places that you never know it would be heard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so interesting because I'll have messages from people from across the world, like you're saying. And I remember this one time in particular, this guy from Scotland that I was talking to, he was like, I feel like you're in my head when you're speaking, your voice. And that's what it is. It's so interesting because audio is so personal. When you're actually, disclosing parts of your life, of your personality, of your experiences, it's so personal. And yet it's so public on this platform. It's such an interesting concept. And I think through audio, like you're saying, like we met and we can feel each other's energy. You can hear someone's authenticity. You can feel who they are and get an idea for what they like and just who they are. And also, it's a matter of mutual respect too, obviously. I think a lot of people out here in the world, sometimes they want a lot of people listening, following, and it builds up this expectation of this number. They don't even know what it is, but they want more, more, more. And when that expectation isn't met, they feel discouraged and frustrated and can find that judgmental place, which you, Patrick, are talking about so often. No judgment.
Correct. Yeah. My Walt Whitman quote of "Be curious and not judgmental."
Yes.
And I end off every show with that, and I try to live that way, and it's not always easy to do that. And you're correct with like what you're saying with the numbers. I think what happens too is often I think just humans want to do this. We want to compare. And so I'll see on the Anchor Facebook group, people will compare. Here's my numbers. Are these good? And it's like, well, are they good compared to what?
Yeah.
What are your goals really? What is your purpose of reaching this? Is it to make 100,000, or is it really to just reach that one person to know that you really made a difference in their life? And to me, We Live on a Planet has given me that. I've been rewarded by that. And I've had people reach out to me and say, I needed to listen to your episode today. You
Yeah.
made a difference in my life today.
Yes.
And that means more to me than 100 people screaming, hey, you got to listen to this guy,
Right.
and so it's that connection that I really like, because when I'm talking to my audience, I really feel like I'm talking to an audience of one. I try to make my podcast that, hey, it's just the two of us. Let's have a conversation, and I'm going to let you into my life and be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And allowed to peel back these layers of the onions, and I gain something out of it, and then you do as well, because something might resonate where you're like, I'm not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's interesting that you say that, because I know when I'm podcasting, when most people are listening to a podcast, they have their AirPods on or they're in their car driving. It is a one-on-one thing. But
Right.
Patrick, will you please tell the listeners or the viewers here about the situations, I guess pre-COVID, but it's probably happening now, in those rehab centers where people were gathering and listening to your show to
Yeah.
help in community. That's what I hope would happen with some of my meditation type stuff as a family, maybe, or whatever, especially in COVID right now. But tell everybody what was going on there.
That was amazing to me, that I had got wind that there was a rehab house of struggling guys, young guys living in there that were struggling with alcohol abuse or other addictions.
Uh-huh.
And I have 5 years sobriety under my belt, and I often will talk about that on my show. It's not the main theme of my show, but it's something that I will talk about, just because, to let people know that there is that choice out there. And it got to me that this group of guys were looking forward to listening to my show and gaining value out of my show, and realizing, hey, if he can do it, I can do it too, because I never would have thought 5 years ago that I could be sober 5 years right now.
Yeah.
I never would have thought I had that gift in me. I didn't think I had it in me. And it's something that I work at every day, and I like to say that sobriety's always, it's never owned. It's always rented, and rent is due every day.
Yeah, that's great. And a lot of people are using technology for self-accountability.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
obviously,
absolutely.
like personal training, like people are going on there and or self-improvement of any type. I'll see people go on there. Today I did my 20 push-ups. The next day, today I did my 20 push-ups, and they're posting. And really, this comes right back to the whole podcast idea. You're doing it for yourself.
Right.
You're creating content that you yourself would like to listen to,
Mm-hmm.
but you're also putting out energy that helps you. There's nothing truer than the more you put out, the more you give, the more you get back in return. It's that
Absolutely.
constant flow of energy. It's just fantastic. I love it. I
Yeah, me
love
too.
it. Before we continue, I forgot to say at the very beginning of this video, by the way, if you're watching this on the replay later, please do feel free to leave comments below for Patrick and I. We're happy to get back to you. Some of the things that we might be talking about, maybe we'll put links in there ourselves, Patrick, too. Like to tell me actually, so everybody feel free to comment below, even if you're watching it later, no problem. I also want to acknowledge, I keep looking over here to the side a little bit because I have an iPad over here. I'm trying to make sure that Patrick and I are appearing correctly on the live stream, just so you know. I'm listening very intently to Patrick, but I'm having to check the screen a little tiny bit too. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. We really appreciate your time for being here.
Yeah.
Now, it's just, time is precious. Time is so precious. I think that every moment, every word that we speak or every word that we share has some value.
Yes.
And that, I want to ask you, Patrick, like, what would you say to someone who is thinking about starting a podcast? What kind of advice would you give?
I would say, first of all, you have to push that scary red button. I mean, you have to really break that boundary of being afraid to record yourself and to be vulnerable, and to, I would say, enjoy yourself, be honest, and have fun. Do it because you want to have fun, not because you're trying to become famous.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing that, maybe it's not. I don't think. I mean, maybe you could be the next Joe Rogan or somebody big like that. You never know. You never know who's going to hear your voice. But I think the main advice I would give is, do it to have fun. Do it to share your voice and to try to make a difference in somebody's life and in your own, so that you can grow as a human. Because a lot of times the quotes that I will share and other ideas that I share with my audience, I'm affirming them to myself when I'm saying them. And so, yes, I'm sharing them with my audience, but I'm gaining out of it too, because I'm saying it. Mm-hmm. And so I think that my advice, though, would just be to enjoy yourself, to do it and enjoy it, and don't have any expectations of blowing up right away. It's going to come. Listens will come. And one listen is just as important as 100.
Yes. 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 I also, it's funny because no matter what the content of a podcast is too, it's so fascinating to get to know other personalities. And like I was saying a minute ago with Patrick and I, we know we like each other. We're friends out here. We're very supportive of each other, but we do not listen to each other's shows all of the time.
Right.
And that idea of giving up that expectation, that pressure, because I find people out there saying, subscribe to my show. And you know, who cares how many subscribers you have, really? Find the people you like, subscribe so you don't forget about them. But it doesn't mean that you have to listen to their show every single week religiously.
Right.
If you want to give them a review, do that, because that helps the show gain more listeners. But it's okay to realize and recognize that people are busy and we all help each other as much as we can. I love hopping over to Patrick's show. I don't stop by your show very often, Patrick, not as much as I used to, because you know how it is. Every time I stop by, you trigger me in some like creative direction that like I have to be ready to spend some time there. And
right.
I love messaging you back and giving you feedback on things. So it's kind of like, if I know I'm going to go there, I know that it's going to be rich with experience and content that I'm going to love and I'm going to have to respond to in some way. So time gets past us, you know, and it's okay. It's okay. You know, it's so amazing. It's fantastic. You know, I was talking to Kingfish the other day. He's supposed to be here. I don't know where he is. He is a trucker. He's driving his semi truck across the country everywhere. He used to be on Anchor. That's how we all met. And he's switched platforms now. So we'll talk to him another time about why he did that, what platform he's on. But he was telling me the other day that his show is so popular in Malaysia because people like to hear what's happening on an individual, like reality show kind of way. Oftentimes, you know, there's the noise in the background, and his voice is great too. But he's saying, holy hell, what is this guy doing in front of me? And you can feel it and go through the experience with him. He's like, whoa, there's a fire over there in the distance or something. You know, he has some fascinating adventures out there, and he's a great guy. But the audio platform allows the listener to travel. That is so amazing to me.
Yeah.
You know, when I went to Croatia and Italy last year, 2 years ago now, I did some podcasting, but I recorded while I was there and then I released it when I got back. But you can hear the little trio singing right outside the Colosseum in Rome, and you can hear me talking a little bit, but I'm really trying to highlight the sounds of what it sounds like in Rome.
Right.
Thank God I did. because no matter how much photography I took on that trip, I don't have the sounds.
Right, right.
And I'm such an audiophile. It's
Yeah,
just, everybody has their different thing. I have been my whole life been very affected by music and sound. And it's amazing to record a vacation like that, to hear the beach in Malibu for people who have never been to California, to stop by the show and hear things and actually transport yourself. That's why I think it's so fascinating too. The whole idea, which I'm always saying, is time and space are so often irrelevant.
yeah,
It's okay. You can transport. Like, it's just so amazing. Like a book. It's like a book for people who like to read, but the audio experience just takes it up another level.
absolutely. I
It's,
agree. I
it's
agree.
amazing.
It's something that's nice, like I said, that we can archive and leave, and you will be able to, in 5 years from now, listen to that sound in Rome, and it will take you back, and you'll be
Yes.
there. Where
Yes.
photos can do that, but the sound, that there's something about, like you said, audio and the sound, that visceralness, that
Yes.
yeah, it's magical.
Yes. Or on audio, I mean, sometimes, anybody who stops by my show might catch me giggling a lot, but you also might encounter an episode where I'm crying if I'm talking
Right.
about my dad passing away, or so many different really important subjects, teen suicide. It,
Yeah,
I think variety is what I love to offer on my show. And so do you. And it's like I like that kind of feeling. Whereas some people have their shows and they're into, hip hop or basketball or whatever the topic may be, and that's great too. There's no one way to do a show, to do a podcast. But I also, when I'm talking about audio, I love it, but visual is important too. Like right now, I have my pink shirt on, right? And
right.
it's so funny. Let me tell you why I'm wearing this shirt, Patrick. When we did an interview, like 2 years ago now, probably, I was able to splice it together and put our audio interview over my photography. I went to your Instagram account. I took fun pictures, you guys. I'll put a link in the show notes here to the YouTube video there. But I did a little intro at the beginning of that, and I was wearing this shirt. So it kind of reminded me. But this particular tour that Pink was on at the time was called Beautiful Trauma. And it is about the trauma in our life, the lessons we learn from that. And every one of her songs on this album, Beautiful Trauma, is about some really tragic, catastrophic situation that, has blossomed into something beautiful. And I think that that is such an important thing to remember in our society right now, with so much happening, that there's always some lesson, some beautiful thing that's going to come out of it. We're
Yeah.
always evolving and changing. And so I just think it's great. Pink had COVID a couple of months ago,
Oh,
and
okay.
she recovered too. So it's like everything happens like in these interesting ways that I love to connect the pieces between different things in my life that affect other people, that other people may have been to a concert at some point in their lives. I also, on last week's episode, by the way, I put a little piece of audio that I recorded at that Pink concert. And I
Mhm.
was literally at the snack bar in a line podcasting, talking about me being gluten-free. And I'm like, oh, I can't have the pretzels. I can't have the beer. Oh, how much is the wine? And you can hear the sounds of being at a concert in the background. So I thought it was so fun to re-release that little snippet again right now, because I'm missing concerts right now, you
Yeah.
guys.
Hmm.
It's just such a different world. It's such a different world.
Coronavirus fatigue.
Yeah, yeah. Patrick, they're in New York. What have you guys been doing? Have you guys been getting out a little bit?
Yeah, here in central New York, we're away from the city. Canada's closer to me than New York City. So we have not been affected, luckily. The local college had the SUNY Oswego had an outbreak of like about 123 students have it, but we're able to get out. We have to have mask, social distance, but barbers have opened up, have to wear a mask and everything. But slowly, surely, our little city of about 17,500 is trugging along.
Yeah, because I noticed you have a nice haircut right now.
Yeah, I was able to go to the barbers not that long ago.
Yeah, perfect. Now, one thing that I wanted to get to in this conversation was I wanted to hear a little bit, by the way, podcasting technology, your Rodecaster.
Yes, I love my Rodecaster Pro. It's so fun to use. It's really podcasting is so easy using Anchor, which all you have to do is use your phone. You talk into your phone, you upload, and you're done. With the Rodecaster Pro, it's made one step more where I have to use the micro SD card, put it into the computer, upload my crowd or the sound. So it's an extra step, but it's worth it because it's added some freshness to me to the show. It's a mini mixing board, so it's endless opportunities of what you can do. Your imagination is really up to you because you have a sound board where you can download any sound that you could think of or any music that's royalty free. And I really enjoy using it. I'm not as techie as you though, to where I might have been able to use it for this broadcast now.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But I'm really not that techie of a guy.
Right,
That's why
right.
I was lucky when I found Anchor and the ease of it.
Yeah, me too.
And the Rodecaster is easy to use. The Rodecaster Pro is easy to use and everything. And so, I probably could have, but I don't know. The phone's working out fine.
Yeah. Now the Rodecaster, you record directly. Your mic is hooked into the Rodecaster. Your phone's not involved at all.
Correct. I can have my phone involved for sound effects if I want, because there's a separate channel on the Rodecaster to where you can have Bluetooth or phone as well. So besides the sound pads that you have, you can use your phone in conjunction for uploading anything or using to make phone calls for interviews. It uploads.
Test it out.
Yeah,
we should test it out next. Like, do a little bit of research on how to do it, because you guys, right now, Patrick and I are using the Zoom technology. We're on the split screen, as you can plainly see. Hopefully, yes. Okay, and we're on Zoom live streaming to Facebook. We're doing this because Facebook doesn't allow you to have live two people on the screen at the same time anymore. They used to. They don't anymore. So whether you're 2 people or whether you're 10 people, you can live stream from Zoom onto here. The Zoom technology will give me a file that's a video file that includes everything, and they'll give me a separate MP3 file that I can upload directly into Anchor. This conversation right here is going to be an episode on the podcast, and I can just upload it really easily over to there. But I was laughing in one of my posts because I said about you and Kingfish, I'm like, they're not audio snobs, but but there are people that are really more finely tuned sometimes. Like Kingfish, he uses really amazing mics, and he loves to really get down there and have the sounds of a river and really precise sounds. The other day he was telling me a left ear, right ear, stereo kind of thing. And I'm like, I'm not sure if I need to go that high level, but everybody has their different thing. Like you just said, you're not as techie as me, but it's funny because we all have our different comfort zones.
That's true.
You've gone to merchandising, which I'm not comfortable doing that arena. It's interesting because we all have our different, where we feel okay going.
Right.
So fascinating, because I love those face masks that you got made with We Live on a Planet and the shopping bags.
Yeah, I had a bunch of shopping bags that I gave out to my community when the ban for plastic went into effect in New York. And so the day that went into effect, I gave away, I think it was around 500 bags.
Yeah. Wow. That's
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
So
It
it's
was nice.
helping the environment and promotion for We Live on a Planet.
Yeah. Yeah. And it
It's
was nice
awesome.
to deal with the community too. And then I had magnets made up, refrigerator magnets. And so I handed out the refrigerator magnets because I was figuring if they're shopping, they're going to be going home and they're going to be near their fridge. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
That's amazing.
it was fun. It
How
was
fun.
fun to do that.
How fun. Now, and okay, one last thing before we take out the Rodecaster, you're recording directly into that. I like to record outside, at the beach or at a concert or at a Honda dealership. And so my favorite kind of mic when I do that is to use a lapel mic. I really find
Yeah.
the sound quality is really good. But somebody recently, one of the podcasters I met on one of these Facebook groups, was recommending this thing called an Olympus handheld digital recorder. So I bought one on his recommendation, and I've been testing it out. Seriously, the sound on my iPhone is better though.
Oh,
So I
wow.
think the technology has evolved so much. I'm not sure. I'm still giving it another try, but it's the same thing. It has a tiny little SD card in here. So it stores a ton of audio and different channels, and it has a hookup for a mic. I could do a splitter. But in the age of COVID, I have to be more careful too with my distance to people when
Right.
I'm on, and a mask and stuff.
Right. Right.
So I'm trying to figure out how to go about doing that because I love talking to people out in the world on the street about what's happening with them. That's part of what I love to do. So
Yeah.
I'm testing it. So anybody out there, if you're considering podcasting, your phone is awesome. This is an iPhone. Patrick's on an iPhone, but an Android works too. The technology is a little bit different, the way the app itself works, what platforms people listen to. Like obviously, Patrick and I are just automatically, Anchor takes care of it. We're on Apple Podcast. We can listen to Apple Podcasts, but Google Play Podcast or Android people. So it depends. So
Right.
all this different stuff is so fascinating. But is there anything, what's your latest show about, Patrick, by the way?
Well, it was a little bit about everything, like normal. A
Uh-huh.
little, yeah. It was I usually have like a positive quote or some kind of quote with an author. And today I didn't have a quote, but it was, or not an author, but it was more of an affirmation.
Uh-huh.
And so I had an affirmation, and then I um, went to the History Channel like I normally do and got the history facts of the Nuggets. And then I also learned some weird, strange laws across the world. And one of them you were talked about Hawaii, and it makes me think one of the laws was you're not allowed to put coins in your ears in Hawaii.
Oh, why is that?
I don't know.
Huh, that's
I don't know.
funny. That's
Yeah,
funny.
so it was just random because I go to the facts site, and so it was some random weird laws, some facts about history, some new rumors that Henry Cavill, the guy that plays Superman, is going to be the new James Bond.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
That's
originally I
exciting.
thought it was going to be Tom Hardy, but yeah, so it was just some fun and talking with my friends.
Very cool. Very cool. And just so you guys know, Patrick just mentioned Hawaii. Before we went live here, I was telling him that I interviewed a fantastic author that I met. I met him here in California, but he lives in Hawaii and he's from London and blah, blah, blah. But we had an hour and 15-minute conversation like this. And it was a pain to edit it later. It was fantastic. And it's easy to put the audio on a podcast, but the video is too long to share in very many places because it's so long. Unless
Right.
you're a huge fan of Paul Gotel, which he does have many fans, but it's a little long. So that being said, that's why Patrick mentioned Hawaii, because Paul was in Hawaii when we did the interview, which is so fun. I'm in California. Patrick is in New York. Paul Gotel was in Hawaii. And Kingfish Kingfish is sleeping in, I think, because he was probably driving all night. So we'll catch him another time. But we're going to go ahead and let you guys go so that we don't take up too much of your time. We will go ahead and put in the links here. Patrick, feel free, post your latest episode. Also, maybe if you feel like it, you could post the Rodecaster thing. You could, like, some of your podcasting stuff that you use at your house or in your studio, in the We Live on a Planet studio there. And you can show people, because there are a lot of people. Patrick and I both are so on board with helping other people start podcasts.
Absolutely.
And no breath is wasted, and it's okay. Even if you feel like you're saying the same thing, someone else, it's already been said, especially authors that I work with sometimes, somebody already wrote that book. No, they didn't write it from your perspective.
Right.
They didn't receive it at the time that the audience is receiving your book right now. Even if that book was 5 years ago, 10 years, whatever the case may be, don't hold back. Your unique perspective, your voice matters in this world. It really does.
Everybody has a story to tell.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Patrick, for spending
some
time here with me.
Yeah, it was an honor. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I'm not usually in front of the video. I am way more comfortable in front of the microphone. And so I'm out of my comfort zone doing this, and it was fun, but I enjoyed it.
You did great. I love it. I love it. I love the logo behind you there.
Yes.
We live on a planet. That's right. I love it. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Bye, everybody. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for listening.
Wow, time is so precious. Thank you for sharing some of yours with us. I hope you had fun watching this video. We were live streaming onto Facebook, onto the Strong Body, Strong Soul page on Facebook. We also just started a group called Let's Talk About Podcasting. So if you're interested in following up on any of the things we talked about, go ahead and find us in that group on Facebook. Use your voice today, raising the level of positive energy in this world. That is why we are here. Maria Speaks. That's the name of the channel that you can find this video on. Lots of different offerings there. So go ahead and make sure to subscribe, share, like, all that great stuff. Thanks again for being here. I am Maria. Strong Body, Strong Soul is the name of the podcast. And I'll talk to you soon. Keep coming back. Thank you.